Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Sideline Eye podcast. We're back with a match preview this week, and it's good to be back. Looking forward to an Armagh game. As usual, Paddy Savage is joining us to talk from the orange and white point of view, while former Monaghan star Dessie Mone is also here, and he'll give the Monaghan perspective. So thanks very much for coming on, boys. And I suppose, Paddy, we'll start with you. It's great to be back talking about football games in the future rather than the past.
Definitely. I don't know about anybody else, but it was really, really tough for everybody in society. The last sort of 4 or 5 months really, really dragged on. Obviously, things were just so difficult over January. And yeah, look, it's brilliant that we're having matches. I don't know about anybody else, but to a certain extent, certainly this time around, I sort of have switched off from the GA for a while. Certainly, sort of February, March, or when the thing was quite bleak and we weren't, we had no real suggestion that we were going to get football back. I found it sort of hard even to almost be bothered, engaging, because you sort of missing the games. But now that the match is back, brilliant. Spring and everybody steps. The pitch is open again. We've got sort of 3 or 4 weeks up in the north here where we've had full pitches, training sessions, and yeah, it's brilliant. And looking forward to Armagh getting back. And it's a great start for us because it's their first season in Division 1 for a long time.
And as I suppose from a Monaghan perspective, you're obviously looking forward to getting back to and getting back playing again. And from your own point of view, you've been quit. I think this is your second year since you retired. So how's it been now? You hardly got to any games. You're probably watching them all on TV.
Yeah, well, it's funny. It's probably since the COVID, it's probably easier on a retirement than because you probably would have been missing a lot of matches between championship matches and stuff. And you probably they only played one championship match last year, so probably more so this year. I'll probably miss it more this year because there'll be a lot more matches. Hopefully, maybe by the end, maybe summertime coming into after. Hopefully, they'll be still involved in the championship. You might get to some of the matches. So then probably start to hit me more then. But listen. It was great playing for them 16 years, but it was time to move on and try and do all the adventures, and that's what I'm trying to do at the minute. Just have all the interest. So that's what I'm focused on now, and it's always good to have all the interest as well.
And throughout them 16 years, Dessie, you come up against Armagh quite a few times and won a few, lost a few. What was the rivalry like? I think I'll ask you this after, Paddy, from an Armagh point of view. It's nearly like Tyrone and Down are the two big rivals, and Monaghan's maybe third after them. What's the rivalry like in Monaghan?
Yeah, well, the Monaghan Armagh would have been hot and heavy over the years. I suppose probably when the Armagh won the All Ireland, I think that just put maybe a step in the Monaghan fans or in the Monaghan players as well. And my mother's from Armagh actually, so she's Ballybinab woman. So there's always rivalry there. I remember that they stuck the Armagh flag when they came back down the road in the middle of our garden. So it didn't go down too well with the father. But the rivalry's always been hot and heavy on the pitch. Fun enough, we have John McIntyre over our club now. Is John McIntyre and Martin O'Rourke. So I remember on my debut, I was marking Martin O'Rourke, so I was on my debut for Monaghan. So it's just the way things turn around, the way things come around again, and you're running into them by again. But they're very enjoyable over the years against Armagh. There's no love lost on and off the pitch at times, but it was good. Listen, great memories. I have to say, very tough games, but enjoyable games.
What do you think, Paddy? Am I right in saying that it's nearly Tyrone and Down are Armagh's biggest rivals, and then it's sort of only when a Monaghan game comes around that we'll start seeing Monaghan as a rival?
Yeah, I think that's fair enough in the sense that where I'm sitting now is a mile over into County Monaghan, but yeah, I think that right, just with the border there and the fact that people would tend to, from around this part of the country would have tended to be sort of going to school and then working in the Lakes in Uri and mixing more with down ones, and the same in the north of the county with Tyrone, and and you'd have had those rivalries, say, from the likes of St Coleman, the Abbey, and then on the Tyrone side, you had a lot of Tyrone ones going to St Pat's Armagh. So I think that's maybe where that sort of comes from, the the Down and Tyrone end. But look, Monaghan are very much a neighbouring county, and I suppose one of the first main Monaghan games is everybody remember real big impact in Armagh's back in 2003, and that upsetting the apple cart as Armagh were All Ireland champions then. And look, there was an awful lot of games over the years after that, just with Armagh going well at Ulster, and then Monaghan sort of taking over, and a few really, really big matches between the teams.
And boys, moving forward then till this weekend, obviously a big talking point is going to be that Seamus McEnany's not going to be on the line, and we'll not get seeing a repeat of this, unfortunately, that McGeeney and Bonty clashing when they were both over Leinster counties. Dessie, what impact does that have, if any, with the manager not being on the line? You'd imagine now, well, Monaghan's obviously training during the lockdown the whole time, so all their work's done. Will it make any impact, him not being on the sideline?
I think that picture was photoshopped. I think that picture was sent in. I know the lads weren't training at all. I know Ryan McNesby, he works alongside me. He said they weren't training, so we're questionable about the picture that was sent in. No, listen, it probably could spur the lads on as well. That their managers on the side, they got unfair treatment with the amount of other training that was been done throughout to pick Dublin and Monaghan. I'm sure, like, there's no question that other counties were doing it, and just to pick two of them was a bit silly to me. That could probably spur the Monaghan players on. But they've Banty's took Vinnie Curry in there now as selector, which is a good choice. I know he's the players like him there now at the minute, and you've Donny Buckley there, so you've David McCaig as well. So you still have your good men on the line to relay the information to the boys on the pitch, and don't know Donny, but he's got great reviews, and then Vinny is a great talker, and that's a plus for the Monaghan side as well. But again, Banty, he'll not be too far away, I'd say. If he's behind the stand or if he's in around the stand in some disguise or somewhere, but he'll not be too far away relaying the information.
And Paddy, due to this suspension for Banty, and Monaghan have also lost home advantage. So instead of this game being in Clonus or Enniskeen or somewhere, it's going to be in Enniskillen. Armagh obviously playing for Monaghan quite regularly over the last few years. Wouldn't have a great record in Enniskillen. Obviously the championship game in 2018 jumps to mind, but against different opposition, maybe the ground doesn't matter this weekend. It's against Monaghan, sort of new team to come up against. I don't think they've met them since 2019, so maybe the game being switched to Enniskillen doesn't have any impact.
Yeah, it's funny. Obviously, Banty was found guilty of the heinous crime of getting caught. But yeah, look, probably the less said of it about all that, the better, maybe. Look, it's hard to know. I mean, in one, in some, I know some people will tend to argue, well, with fans not there, does it really matter? Where the game is. But of course, the reality is that if in normal circumstances, particularly if we'd have had, if this had been Armagh's first game in Division 1 for 9 years or whatever it is, and the game would have been certainly been in a scheme, but it probably or Blaney or Clonus, like there'd have been at least as many Armagh supporters there as Monaghan, so there wouldn't have the sort of crowd advantage in inverted commas wouldn't have impacted. I've always thought that the big advantage, and Dessie as a player probably no more be a better place to comment, but it's the environment. It's the fact that you're going into somewhere that you go into every week, that you know exactly when you're turning up, what door you go, everything's familiar, and you're not getting used to sort of anything else. So look, maybe Monaghan do lose a bit of that advantage, no doubt. They won't be happy that it's happened. And I suppose ironically, Sean, we're all talking about trying to get back to Armagh matches, and that was the last time we got last place we got to an Armagh match was in Enniskillen. sort of this old-fashioned nice ground. It sort of takes you back a wee bit. And we'd great crack commentating that evening, myself and Damien for Armagh TV. So yeah, look, Armagh, that recent experience. Do I think that this is the venue is going to be the determining factor on Sunday? Probably not, to be honest. But it's a slight plus to Armagh that the game's not in home territory for Monaghan anymore.
Is it a motivator, Dessie, that Monaghan have lost home advantage? Is it a motivator to sort of it's us against the world sort of thing? Will the Monaghan management team and the Monaghan players be saying it like that?
I suppose there'll be a little bit that in the way they were treated, the way it's been dealt with. But again, I'd said probably from both sides, I think they'd just be keen to get out and get playing football, 10 matches again. It's been a long time since their last championship match, so they'd be keen just to get out and get playing. And as Paddy's saying there, with no crowd there, it's just another pitch, it's just another venue. I know the home advantage would have been nice, but in saying that, the lads would just be mad to get out and get a bit of ball and get a game under their belt. With no crowd in there, I don't think it really matters now.
Lads, this game has been built up as a must-win for both teams, and I'm just wondering, is there a bit of maybe disrespect that towards Monaghan that Armagh think that they can beat Monaghan, but they mightn't beat Tyrone and Donegal? Because Monaghan have been the longest serving Division 1 team from Ulster. They've been there for 7 years now. But I think from an Armagh point of view, it's nearly like Armagh have a better chance of beating Monaghan than they do against Tyrone and Donegal. So is there a bit of disrespect for Monaghan there, do you think?
No. Actually, listen, it's probably Armagh probably having in that top division this last, I'm not too sure. We're just chatting about it. Maybe it's been 10 years or so. Maybe they've been trying to get up. Not too sure if we're right on the years, but they've been trying to get back up, and I suppose they want to get a good start. Monaghan again, they want to, after their championship game last year, they want to get a good start as well. But again, Monaghan was in Division 1, they've always been going well in the league, and then come championship time, probably Monaghan going to look at this opportunity, can they blood new players, can they find new players within their squad? And I think that's going to be the most important thing for Monaghan in this league format. Now, I wouldn't listen. You always want to go out and win. There's no question about it. But you want to blood new players and get new players in for the championship. Especially the championship's going to be knockout this year, so you want to be going in knowing who your best 20 is or 25 is that you can use on the day. Disrespect wise, it's not going to bother the Monaghan players. It never has, and it never will. Armagh, I suppose you have to look at Donegal reached the Ulster final last year, and Tyrone they're always been talked up as well. So it'll not bother the players at all. It'll probably not bother Armagh either. But it's probably important for the two of them teams see can they blood new players in this league.
Paddy, it's going to be difficult for both teams to blood new players, like the likes of, say, Barry McCambridge or Jack Rugan that have been called into the Armagh squad this year. When you're going into as we say, a must-win game, if you want to stay in Division 1, Armagh must win this game. It's going to be difficult for Kieran McGeeney to start boys that haven't had National League time before.
Yeah, definitely. Like it's a huge match. I was thinking about it earlier today, and just the way the things working now with the playoff and that, I was trying to work out in my mind, is the big game or is it not? In the sense that, if you end up, unless you get into that top two, you're going to be playing a relegation playoff anyway. And obviously, look, it's going to be hard for Armagh. Hopefully they will, but it's going to be very, very hard for them in their first year in Division 1, to get up into that top two, and be sort of looking up rather than down. But like even you can conceivably, usually a good start in the league is vital if you want to stay up. It's very conceivable this year that a team could lose 3 matches in a row, and so you still have a 50-50 chance. So I was trying to work it out in my head, and I think probably then maybe the best way to look at the game on Sunday is that if you win, then you've nearly got 3 chances at staying up, because 2 wins you think would be good enough. So whichever of Armagh or Monaghan wins, and suddenly if they can beat either Donegal or Tyrone, chances are they're safe and they're into the next they're into that top two. Whereas if you're beaten, the chances are you're going to have one more bite at the cherry on the last day of the league. Because it's going to be, if you're beaten, you're then having to look at trying to win against both Tyrone and Donegal to avoid those relegation playoffs. So yeah, it's a really funny league, and we've never really had this before in the GAA, where it's always been all 7 games are equally as important. Wherever you pick up the points, it doesn't really matter. But all games aren't equal this year,
Yeah, and like if things go to plan for both teams, they'll be looking for maybe meeting in an Ulster semi-final. Dessie, if there's maybe as a player, do you be looking down the track to possibly meeting this team in the Ulster semi-final? Like Armagh would be expected to beat Antrim, and Monaghan would be expected to beat Farney in their first round Ulster Championship game. So is there a maybe will they keep the eye on that Ulster semi-final, or is there not a chance to do that because this is a must-win game if you want to stay up in Division 1?
Well, Ulster's a funny championship. Antrim or Fermanagh could turn around and beat either of the team as well. But no, I think it's different this year. I think I'd say both sets of teams will be more worried about how they're going to set out and play, and they're going to just worry about their own tactics. I think that's not even going to be in their radar. I think this weekend, I think they just want to get out, focus on their own game and try and get the points. But I'd say both sets of teams want to focus on their play and see can they progress from last year, especially the last couple of years. We probably know both teams have good defensives, no question about it. But with Kieran Donaghy brought in there now and into Armagh being a forward, and Donny Buckley being brought in, them two men, boys from the outside, we're all from the outside. It would be interesting to see how they progress the two teams. But has Donny progressed Monaghan and maybe the forward play, same as Kieran Donaghy. So that's going to be probably what they're going to be focusing on. See have the gain any more bringing them men in and on the management team.
And we'll discuss them two men, Dessie, that you mentioned. Donny Buckley obviously has such a big reputation coming in. He's a huge name to come into that Monaghan setup. He's going to be working with the Monaghan boys for whatever a couple of months now, and it's probably difficult for him coming in. And I know Monaghan have been suspended for training, but he probably didn't get that much time on the field with them. How difficult is it for these new coaches to come in and only get a couple of nights with the players to try and implement a new style?
Yeah, no, it's probably very difficult for him at the minute, but that's why I think maybe the league this year, I know everybody's going to say it's a must-win game for managers and team management, but they're probably thinking, we have to get ready for the championship. Whatever happens in the league happens in the league. As you have 3 chances really. If you lose your first match, I don't think it's that big of a deal. You still have to go into the playoffs. If you're not successful getting into the top 2, you still have your chances. So I think Donny Buckley will be relishing this first match to see. He's going to get a better idea of his players, on what can he do and what can he improve on. But it hasn't been probably an easy task for him. So I wouldn't hone down on the first match if things don't go to plan. But I'm sure he's trying different ideas and kind of looking forward to see what's going to be happening on the pitch and what players are going to be playing and what positions. And so it's pretty exciting with actually both teams, see what kind of format and kind of setup they're going to play with Donaghy on the Armagh side as well. It'll be interesting to see. We all know Armagh, defensive wise, they've really focused on that this last few years now. It's probably they want to progress it now to forward play, and that's probably why they've brought Donaghy in on the McGinney now.
And Paddy, I think everybody in Armagh is excited to see what Kieran Donaghy has brought, and maybe he's not going to change the overall system or the overall way they play, but it's a new voice, it's a fresh voice, maybe new ideas. Should we be excited about Donaghy being included? And if so, what do you feel he's going to bring here that we're going to see on Sunday against Monaghan?
Well, look, you're excited about how the team are going to do, and ultimately, it's that that's always the conundrum. When a team plays well, is it the players, is it the management? The reality is, of course, it's the one works in tandem with the other. We're not going to be able, I don't think, after the match to say, oh, Kieran Donny made a big, it's a bit of maybe a talking point, but it takes an awful lot of people contributing. In terms of what he's going to bring, I thought it was very interesting there. Just listening to Geezer today talking about bringing players into the game. That's what he had pinpointed as Kieran Donaghy's big strength. The fact that whilst yes, we know him as a sort of a target man catching high ball, maybe scoring goals, but Geezer was thinking about what he can do with bringing players in when he fetches the ball with his back to goal, and then players running off him. So that was thought that was a really good insight into the sort of things he might be working on. That Geezer had mentioned, and probably then I suppose it just comes back to the first question you asked me, Sean, that I never bothered answering about the likes of Jack Grugan in particular, who's very much that sort of player, target man, full forward, and possibly maybe Kieran Donaghy's the perfect man to be working with the likes of Jack Grugan on bringing players in and those runs, and obviously he'd be very used to the likes of Rory Grugan, his brother coming at him and trying to feed him the ball. So yeah, look, I'm excited about the entire team getting back. I'm excited to have football back. Never mind who's in the line or who's playing. But look, it's definitely something new. It's talking points. And I suppose from our perspective in Armagh, we'll hope that it's it's something that to be able to gel well together and get off the good start to the year with a couple of good performances in the league.
And Dessie, your own club man, Conor McManus, is obviously renowned throughout the country as one of the best in the business at the minute. Is there a fear in Monaghan that maybe he's still too reliant on McManus for scores, or maybe is there some new additions to the panel that's maybe going to help him?
Yeah, well, this is the things. This is what the league's going to bring, hopefully, from Monaghan, that can unearth a couple of players, or we're hoping Conor McCarthy. He does very well for his club, Scotstown. He's very hard to mark in club football. He's scoring 1-6, 1-8 a match. So if you could just transfer that in with Monaghan, and the two of them, Conor and the two Conors would be good prospects now, be exciting prospects if the two of them hit form on the same day. Would be hard to stop. And then you have Micheál Brannigan there. He had a good year with DCU. He's been playing good football. He was playing good football DCU, and then he brought it in. He was bringing it into the league, and again, there was only one match in the championship, so he never really got fired. And then you Stephen O'Hanlon as well. Again, he'd be feared and with his running ability. He's very pacey, so it would be good to get him another year with Monaghan and see how he goes. So there is potential there, but hopefully we just get these players to be consistent and just performing on the day, and if they can do that, and along with Conor, with Manzi, Monaghan will not be far away. But it's just, again, hopefully Donny and like Vinny coming in there, have been working on that, and that's what we're hoping for.
And there's obviously it's been known for a couple of months now that Jamie Clark's not going to be part of the Armagh panel this year. Paddy, we sort of touched on a few players like the likes of Jack Grugan, Conor Turbotte, Ross McQuillan, Kieran O'Hanlon, Jason Duffy. There is players there that will be dying for this spot that Jamie Clark has left. Who do you think comes in there? I mean, Conor Turbotte come on last year against Donegal. We'll remember on a poor day, he was probably the one shining light. He come on and kicked 2 points. The likes of Jack Grugan has played so well at club level the last couple of years. Armagh do have options to replace that position Jamie Clark has left.
Oh, definitely. Look, we've talked about this a fair bit in the podcast, Sean. We have had more options in the forwards than we've had in the backs, and that's, I suppose, why we've ended up with Aidan Falker being our go-to man marker. Look, all of them four lads you mentioned, they've all got massive potential. Jason's been about the panel a while, so he'll be looking to make that step up and try to nail down a starting spot. And Ross, it's his first season back in the panel. Same with Jack. It's but back to the question you asked. Is it going to be difficult to go with the some of the lads that are only back into the panel, particularly from the start? Hard to know. I'm not sure if they've been able to play a challenge match or two. Obviously, they'll have been playing games and training. But hopefully, them couple of lads do get opportunities, because I know Ross. I know Ross well just from my own club, and he's just he's an exceptional talent. There's no doubt about that, and his pace, is something that will be elite and noticeable at inter-county level as much as it is at club level. Jack Rugan, undoubtedly, Sean has been the one of the best club footballers in Armagh for a long time. I'd love to see him getting a run. It's pity there's no McKenna Cup for the likes of that. But I suppose maybe the person, although he's primed as the likes of Conor Turbot, because this is his second year, and you're hoping that he came in, he made a fair bit of an impact, particularly at the start of the season last year, and then again when he came on against Donegal, and can he take that other step forward? So yeah, look, four really good forwards, all with big potential, all very different players to Jamie, because Jamie's pretty unique. But look, that's where you are. If possible, you want to have you want to have everybody available. But again, as Giza was saying today, that there's 3,000 or 4,000 players that love playing, that are really want to play county football. Yet the focus is often on the 3 or 4 who absolutely decide and right the right decision for them is not to be involved over a year or two, and that's just life. We're all wired slightly differently, and I think probably the last year or more has taught us is that we should maybe all focus a bit more on doing the things we want to do, and making the best of our lives. They don't sound too deep, because they can be grabbed. A lot of the things we take for granted can be grabbed away from us very, very quickly.
And Paddy, you touched on Ross McQuillan there, and I'm going to sort of make a prediction or pose this question. We're talking about him in the forward line. Could we see Ross McQuillan in an attacking wing half back role, a sort of Jack McCaffrey role, like you mentioned, his pace, his ball carrying ability? Could we see him in that role? Is that a role you think he'd be suited to?
Well, I'll answer it this way. If you'd have said to me 2 or 3 years ago about Ross or who's more likely to end up as a defender, say the likes of Aidan Falker or Ross, would you maybe have said that Ross, with that sort of blinding pace, obviously Aidan's come back there and he's been such a revelation, he's been brilliant. It's a position Ross has played. A wing half back. He's utility play. He could play sort of anywhere really. I think across half back line, midfield, half forward line, and it's definitely going to be an option, no doubt about it.
And Dessie, just to finish up, what's your prediction for the game? How do you see this one playing out?
Listen, it's gonna be an interesting one. With the new men in there, it'd be just interesting to see how they're going to play. But I'm going to be biased here and go for Monaghan win by, I'd say, 3 points. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to see how they're going to perform. But I'll stick with my Monaghan guns, even though but Armagh and me, I still stick with Monaghan.
What do you think, Paddy? How do you see it? I suppose it's hard to know. We've no form to base it on or nothing, obviously.
We've nothing to go on. Both the last, both teams are coming in with a lot of hurt. From how the championship ended for them last year. Monaghan have been a revelation in terms of their ability to survive in that division year after year after year. Like if you think of all the different teams that haven't managed to do that, in particular Donegal, they spent the season down with Monaghan, have been there so long in Division 1, and it's because probably the win games, the win games like on Sunday, the win tight games. Look, it's such a strange dynamic. It's nearly impossible to give a prediction, Sean. But look, I think what we want to see from Armagh is, the big thing that we constantly talked about from Division 2 and Division 3 was you need to get up into Division 1. You need to play at that level, and you need to get used to competing at that level. And look, that's what we need. Over the next 3 games. Is just to get up to that, to that Division 1 level. Hopefully, bring us on, and then, as I say, look, hopefully Armagh win 2 or 3. Maybe we'll win all 3 of them, and we're at the top. But I think it's going to be hard for Armagh to get into a position where they're not playing that last game in a relegation playoff. So I suppose the big thing over the next 3 matches is to be as competitive as possible and try and pick up a win or 2 if they can. Look, I'll go for Armagh. Sure, I'll sort of have to. That's for all. Be what sport if we don't just go with the team that we support?
Well, no surprises with the predictions, man. So that game is on Sunday at 3 o'clock, and it's live on the TG4 player on the app. So download the app and you can see in that game. Also this weekend, the Camogie starts on Saturday. Armagh are away to Down. That game's in Mayo Bridge at 2 o'clock. And also the Hurling League begins on Sunday, and Armagh host Longford, and that game's live on Armagh TV at 1 o'clock. So thanks very much for joining us, man, and we'll look forward to getting a bit of county action now on Sunday.
Brilliant. Thank you, Sean.